Charterstone. This is your review for 2. Good day, my name is Joe. Today we'll be going over Charterstone and how it plays with 2 players. Now Charterstone is a 1 to 6 player game, and it is a legacy game, which means you'll be putting permanent stickers on the board, having permanent rules that you unlock over time, and keeping a score track from game to game, keeping a little bit extra from the previous game and into the next. This game is played over 12 little mini games, and whoever has the most points at the end wins. So see a little bit more how to play. So this high level overview is not going to be super in depth because I don't want to spoil too much about the game, but essentially this game is you give 12 games of worker placement. You're going to be placing your workers in your own charter. You have 6 spaces in your own charter and maybe 6 spaces of an opponent's charter. If you are only playing with 2 players, some of these other charters will be built out throughout the game just automatically. There are also some common spaces such as, the cloud port, your standard, trade in a few goods for some victory points. You can build buildings for victory points. You can score reputation cards for victory points. There's a lot of different ways to score. I'm sorry, the reputation track is up here. The achievement, cards. And there's just a lot of different ways to score points for the game. But your ultimate goal is to have the most points between the 2 players at the end of every game to win that kind of mini game. So you have your 2 meeples you'll be placing around, basic worker placement. Some places cost you something to go there, whether it's a resource or money or even influence, and you'll be getting stuff back. Now, interesting about this game is there's another resource called influence, which you're going to be placing around the board to do some of these larger actions. Some of these actions are going to move the round marker to the end of the game to kind of end the game a little bit quicker. And some may just be a little bit beefier action to do something on the board. But once you're out of influence tokens, the game rapidly ends. And that's when, you want to make sure you have the most victory points. So you have cards in your hand, you have these persona cards, just a lot of different ways to score in this game. But essentially, worker placement. Once you have no more workers, you spend a turn to pick them back up and just do the same thing over. So let's see what I thought about the game. So the components in this game, it actually, not gonna lie, it really blew my wife and I away on the interesting components in the game that we just didn't expect. We didn't know anything about this game coming in, and to be honest, every time we got to open a box, open some cards, look at some cards, it was really interesting. It's in this game, you have this box of cards, and every time you open a crate, it tells you what to open. There's some kind of mystery boxes around in the game, but it's just a lot of fun. We've really enjoyed the components in this game. The rules also very straightforward, easy worker placement. You put a worker down, you do what it says on the tile. Usually it's maybe pay something and get something. That's about as straightforward as it is. You put your other one and the same thing. So everything, all the icons in this game are very straightforward. References are great. As you learn new rules, you'll be putting new stickers on the board. So the rule book evolves as you play, and the rules never got overwhelmingly complicated. So let's talk about the setup and table size. We did have this on the board quite a while, but they give you these little boxes to keep all your stuff in and your cars and everything, and it was really nice. This also is, kind of like a score sheet. In the end, you can count your victories, your capacity, and all your glory kind of go on this box. So it's really neat to have that too. The table size, this would be close, but it probably could fit on a 3x3 for 2, but it did take us a little bit more room on the table. So let's go into the gameplay. And if you want a legacy game, this is a great place to start. I know there's a lot of legacy games out there, but this is what I would call an accessible legacy game. This can be taught to anyone, by anyone, very easy to get to the table. They have a mechanic where you can drop players in and out, but I really highly recommend you play with the same group every time, as it's just a lot of fun. But as far as there's not a whole lot of engine building. There's not a whole lot of thought and like really deep decisions to be made. However, that doesn't take away how much fun this is as a light worker placement game. This isn't, a heavy deck building, heavy Euro. Heavy should not be in the name when you're describing Charterstone. This is a game where it's just having a good time doing what you want to do. Do you want to build buildings, really immediately? That's great. Do you want to unlock the crates like I did and get these extra cards and see what we can add to the game? That's great too. Do you want to rush the victory points? Do you want to just, spend a lot of time with this cloud port and be getting 3 victory points every time? You can do that. Reputation track. It's just, there's a lot to this game, but it's simple to get to the table. It's easy to teach. And that's something I really admire about this game, where it never got overwhelming. It was always place a worker, do this, get this. And even with some of the little mechanics that it added, it never became overwhelming. Even when you got little companions and or little minions and got to place them in your area, do one little thing. It was just really interesting. From game to game, they have these different guideposts, which give you an extra bonus if you can complete it. And in a 2-player game, you're really fighting for that bonus because the only other person you're competing against, is the other person. So, and that gives you quite a bit of points. That gives you some leverage at the end of the game. So just having every game be just a little bit different, one little rule different from the game, can really add it a lot. So we really enjoyed the game. It was a little bit light. This is a lighter game than I would like, but we still had a good time. My wife really enjoyed this game just because how straightforward it was. We could get to the table, and in 40 minutes, we could be done with this game. One game took us 20 minutes, I think. We would always set up the game when we were done with the previous one, so we could just get down to the table and play a new one. Some of the games took us about 30 minutes. Some, like I said, 25 to 40 was probably about the average on a 2-player game. But simple worker placement, the games go by quick. There's not a whole lot of downtime, but it's just a lot of fun to be building these things and building out the city while getting just snippets of story that you can carry on from game to game. So is this game good for 2? And I'm going to tell you, I like this game for 2. We played one game with the Atoma. We didn't really like it, but the other charters get filled out by just putting open buildings on there and building them, but they're not going to open any crates. The players are going to open the crates. Now with 2 players, we thought some of the crates were opened a little bit later than we would have liked. We'd have liked a little bit more complexity a tiny bit earlier during the campaign, but that's okay. In the end, this was a straightforward game that we just really liked. Basic worker placement. This could be taught to anybody, is like I said, and really be, say a father-daughter, father-son, or a mom, like 2 people can just, anybody can play this game. If it were more players, it would still be a lot of fun. I could definitely see this being interesting and fun with 4 players, but just know that the length of time to play is going to increase because there's nothing you can really do on any of the other players' turns. So it really is, it's going to get longer as you add more players. The one thing that we really didn't like was there was a mechanic on, and you can see it on the board, where you get some sort of income. In a 2-player game, you would only get income twice. And so some of the buildings that were built were kind of duds because you got income, but you would only ever get it twice maximum. Where if you did play a full 6-player game, I think you would get income maybe 5 or 6 times. So kind of that rolling income. I could definitely see this being a lot of fun with 6 players, but the length of time needed would take a very long time. But for 2, this is just a nice, whimsical, relaxing, relaxed game about worker placement. scoring victory points, and just having a good time opening boxes, marking things off, seeing what's in here, getting little snippets of story. Really enjoyable for two. Quick, easy to get to the table. For more players, I can see this being a lot more fun, however, taking more time. So really enjoy Charterstone. This is probably our favorite Stonemaier game now, even though we're not going to play it again. The times that we've had, very good with this game. Is it a must buy? If you're looking for a heavier game, my vote's going to be no. If you're looking for a game to share with somebody, 12 games that once you're done, you can probably be done with, Charterstone is the perfect two-player game. Maybe not optimal, but for the length of time you play and to get somebody into the hobby that in a legacy style, this may be the game. So really enjoyed Charterstone, had a lot of things going on with it. Not the deepest of games, but very enjoyable for two. So I hope you guys enjoyed the review, and until next time.